What is up guys, Kane here, and in this video we're going to start talking about some of the heroes. And not just all of the heroes, but we will start from one of the more important heroes to get early on in the game. And the best one for that is Bazric. So in terms of his items, at the moment I have the best possible equipment set as you can see here, which is the equipment that you can get from either the Lucky Wheel or participating in the Drake merge. But there is no easy way to acquire these, and instead you should use some other equipment, which I will show you right here, which would be the Bloodthorn Rapier, which you can get either the first week in the server's release or then you participating in city destruction events. And this item will give you critical hit chance plus 20%. The next item is the Omissa's Great Bow, which gives attack speed plus 30%, which you can get from Void 82. And to reach Void 82 is not an easy task, especially for the beginning of the server. But if you have Bazric, you can pretty much clear up to Void 80 when you are castle 20-25, you can actually reach Void Stage 80 being castle 20-ish, something like that. If you invest properly, if you have a few loans, it is pretty easy, and just because of this one hero. But before that, there are a couple of items that you can use instead, though I am unsure if I actually have them. So the bow, unfortunately I do not have it unlocked, but it is called the Moon Bow, which you can unlock at Archives. And I think it costs 4000 honor, and it says critical hit chance plus 20%. And then you would need a different weapon, which I do have, and it is called a Swift Strike Dagger, which increases attack speed for the hero. I think it is a recipe for some specific void stage to be perfect, and I do believe Bazric clears it by himself, so there shouldn't be any issues with that. So going back to the hero, most of these items aside, what you can get for the trinkets is, again going back to my other hero, is the flawless bloody arrowhead. If you don't have it flawless, you can just use the arrowheads, and if you don't have the arrowheads, you can just use any trinket which will increase your might, because might will increase Bazric's damage. That aside, I have this helmet which would give him a shield every some seconds, and if that shield persists, he gets an increase to his physical damage, but at the same time he gets a huge amount of might. And really no other helmet would actually give a big amount. So that aside, I have this flawless Storm Surge coat, which you can get from Clash of Fate, and if you make it flawless, it gives an insane amount of might. Again, I'm doing everything to increase the might of Bazric, to increase his damage, and to help me win more events, void stages, pinnacle, all that kind of stuff. If you invest into him, he's going to carry you through almost everything. And my artifact of choice is the Halcyon Edge. And the reason for that is I don't think there is a better hero who can use this to the extent that Bazric can. The first star increases his attack speed by 15%, 2-star melee attacks impart weakened armor, causing the targets to suffer additional 20% physical damage. Now, before we get into skills, I can tell you that Bazric does AoE melee attack damage, so this skill will affect more than one target. The 3-star deals 1% more damage for every 1% health lost, and he can revive at about 20% or something like that, so if he's 20%, he's going to have a huge amount of damage boost. So this is also good, because he can revive himself. 4-star deals 25 bonus physical damage, which is also pretty strong, so pretty much all of these 4 buffs will increase its total damage. For Prisms, at the moment I was lucky enough to get it through Ruby during the last Golden Game Boards, but prior to this I was actually using a fine rubby on him, and I kind of forgot the name of the prism set. So the prism set should be, one moment. The prism set should be the infected wound, which will increase his critical hit chance and his critical damage. And upon scoring, a critical hit deals a bonus of % of the target's max health in physical damage, which is, I think it's okay, but the numbers get quite big, but it doesn't seem to be as effective. The thing is, I think there is a critical hit chance and a critical hit damage cap, thus making this set not really as impactful as, let's say, the attack bonus and the true damage bonus. I mean, personally, I would 100% say that the infected wound with the fine rubby should in theory do more damage, because more critical hit, more critical damage does a percentage of their max HP as physical damage, but there is something in there that either gets negated or hard capped or something, and it barely even increases Bazric damage. And whenever I put on this array bonus, which increases his attack and does some true damage, my Bazric's damage skyrocketed, I think more than double even. So yeah, this is a must-have for your Bazric if you do play it and you have 2 true rubbies. So his equipment aside, moving on to skills. Now I have 2 sets or 2 specialties of skills, one for wall damage and another one for regular usage and events. So they're not that very different because he has only a few skills, right? So starting with the regular usage, you see I have Flurry at level 10. Basically, this is an upgrade to his basic attack. He does like a triple hit with a very high speed, which gives him some evasion and increases his critical hit damage by 120%. And also this skill does area of effect damage in front of him, so he's stabbing straight in front of him and anyone around his target also takes the same damage. The Night Prowler skill acts sort of like a balance for Bazric in PvP, because if there would be no Night Prowler, Bazric would be the most overpowered hero in this game. What it does is, he starts the battle with, I think, 5 shackles if there are any enemy heroes on the field. Which means if you use this hero and you use it for Void Mirror, use it for events, you use him literally anywhere that doesn't include the enemy having a hero, he instantly unshackles everything and he can cast his ultimate. And once we get to his ultimate, it's pretty darn overpowered. And this says is every time he sheds a blood shackle, increases in 80% attack speed and his bats do some damage. And once he sheds all of them, he gets 90% attack speed and even more bat damage, which can raise to 100% if the skill is level 10, just because of my rogue set, which is pretty darn expensive in terms of Linari. This skill acts like a revival for Bazric. Whenever he takes a high amounts of damage that would drop him below 25%, he doesn't die, but he jumps into the air and he damages anyone around him while he also recovers HP. You need this skill at least level 1, but a couple of levels into this is advised for him to recover just a little bit more HP. Midnight Murder. Every time Bazric causes damage with his basic attack, he then deals a portion of that damage as physical damage to a random hero below 25%. The thing about this skill is, it sounds pretty strong, but in most cases, if you would damage the enemy hero, most of the time that hero is going to die anyway. I mean, it's good to have this skill at least level 1 to 3, but I don't think you should have it any more than that. Bazric does an insane amount of damage and most heroes that could take even like 15% of this damage, they would die if they are below 25% anyway. That would be like sages, generals, literally everyone which is weak, which are not specific rogues, gladiators, paladins, all that kind of stuff, who has a huge HP pool. So yeah, not a very important skill to invest on. And moving towards the vampire bats, the attacks of Bazric bats siphon a portion of damage dealt into healing him and friendly heroes near Bazric, and causes enemies to suffer a % increased damage for 5 seconds. And command also increases this bonus damage. So yeah, this skill will heal him and also make him do more damage to the targets in front of him. The thing is, why I focus these two instead of this is because this one increases his like base damage or his damage in general, and since he's a rogue, that crit damage will mean quite a lot. And the Night Prowler increases his attack speed, so he's like a machine gun in the front lines. And this one, sure, it would heal him, but you know, it's not as insanely impactful as the first two skills. And I probably will remove one level from the ultimate and actually raise the vampire bats a few levels higher, because to upgrade this ultimate, I think you need to spend like 50 ability points, and if you can see, you can add quite a few levels to the skill here to increase just a bit more damage in the front lines. So what the Bat Blitz does, Bazric summons a cloud of bats for 6 seconds to attack enemies in the target area, dealing physical damage to them every second equal to 12% of their current health, and reducing their attack speed. And as you can see, Might increases the damage. Now, what I can tell you in general from my experience, Might does in fact increase the damage, but it's not as high as, let's say, this attack number would increase it. Now, I am not sure about the calculations and all that kind of stuff, right? But from playing Bazric from early game for events or whatever, I have had similar sets of equipment and only raised Bazric a few levels higher, which increased his attack and pretty much nothing else, and his Bat Blitz was doing more and more damage. So you can pretty much say that most, if not all, of the skills from all heroes, even if they say something like Might increases the damage dealt or stuff like that, the attack number also has to do something with the numbers, even again if they don't say they do. Even with something like this HP % ultimate, because if you have this, right, so almost all of the enemy fields, almost all of the events, the top armies, you would be able to 70% just by this hero. Not entire army, but some specific spots wherever you place this skill. But some units just take less than 20% from this entire skill. But when you reach that same event later in a month and a half, you have leveled this hero a few more levels, you have upgraded his attack, equipment stayed the same, the skills stay the same, he then starts dealing like 70% of that target's HP damage with this skill, just because his attack was upgraded a bit higher. So keep that in mind, guys. It's not only about items and it's not only about the Might. So my regular set is pretty much done for now, and now for the wall damage set. Now, as you can see, Flurry is level 10. What changed was the Night Prowler was also upgraded to level 10, which increases his attack speed and the bat's damage by quite a bit. Also, his vampire bats are also level 9, which says attacks of Bazric siphon 36% of damage dealt into healing and cause enemies to suffer 40% more increased damage for 5 seconds. Now, that Bat Blitz is not going to do a lot of damage to wall defenses, but for particular early game stages from castle like 15 to 30, even to probably 35, you may want to actually use Bat Blitz. Because before you reach the wall defense, this skill can kill most of the army on the walls, which if you don't have catapults or specific ranged units, those walls will not how can I say, reduce units, or you won't kill the units as fast as you can. So Bad Blitz easily take cares of those, but if you don't have to worry about those wall defense units, or your front line is not falling, or all that kind of stuff, you're better off in upgrading the Vampire Bats and just his basic attacks, which would increase most of his damage probably by at least 50 to 100 million, at least in my own opinion. Anyways, I think that's pretty much covered for this hero up until Castle 39 or let's say 40. I have unlocked the hero mastery, but at the moment my hero mastery is all over the place just because it's how can I put it, more efficient for my entire field for events to have it this way, and some bonuses are for other specific heroes, which quite a few people may not agree on, but it actually is working for me. So to avoid having any arguments or stuff like that, this video will just be for Bazric up until level 40 castle. Anyways, thanks for watching guys, hope this will help you, and stay safe out there.